Hello, in this video we're going to be taking a look at a breakdown of how Mouse Create works and how you can leverage it throughout this Canva Community Gardens program. Now I do want to start off by saying that each week of the program has about 5 hours worth of content that your students will be completing. 3 hours of content is required by the program, but up to 5 hours is possible. So that is why we chose to suggest these 6 projects from the previous video to put into your group, because these are the 6 projects that are worth about 5 hours of time on Mouse Create for week 1 of the program. Now there's a lot of different features inside of Mouse Create that I want to cover here, and I'm going to do that by going into the first project, 8-bit pixel artist, to use it as an example. So this project here, if I click into it, we are now on within this project and we're on step 1. You'll notice that actually the URL will change to a custom URL for each step of each project. So each step has its own URL, so that's easy for sharing with your students if you want to copy that URL and share it with them and tell them to go directly to a certain step or to go directly to a specific project. So this project, again, using it as an example, because this is how you will facilitate many of the projects in this program. Now for this particular project, I'm just going to check our program schedule to see how Mouse suggests we run this one. So this program here, so I'm in the program schedule, I'm in the second tab, and we see 8-bit pixel artist suggested about 45 minutes. It is a little bit of a description of it. We do suggest to do this synchronous with the whole group of students, so on a Google Meets or a Zoom call or something like that. So I actually suggest to, when you're doing this, it's really important to go through some of the first steps all together and then providing students with a space to go through some of the work on their own. So let's look at that breakdown. Now, and this is just my suggestion, but there is plenty of different ways to navigate this project. So project step 1 here, just like most of our steps, there's an image and a paragraph or two to read. So I'd recommend while you're on your Google Meet call to be sharing your screen and having students maybe read out this paragraph to you as a group, or you can read it to them. And again, just a screen share works really well for these first few steps especially. So now we're on step 2, similar thing, picture with some text below that you can read together. Step 3, we see more information about what pixel art is and how pixels are used in video games and in other parts of technology. So now we're on step 4 of 8-bit pixel artist, and if we look towards the end of this step, we see our first task for the students. Now it's your turn to try this art style yourself with a cool new GIF in Piskel. So it's a way for students to create their own work. So at this point, you're in step 4 and you've been going through it synchronously through a call. Your students can go to these different resources, so you can have them either go into Mouse Create or give them this particular tool a direct link to it, and your students will start to make their own pixel art. Now while students make their own pixel art, you're going to want to instruct them to go through these steps. Either you continue to share your screen and you have students you click on this link and you create, it tells you how to use some of these tools. You add color, add a whole bunch of resources here in these later steps and after step 5. And then it'd be important to get back together with your students to show them how to export and submit their work. So at this point, again, the way you'd want to do this is you'd go through steps 1 through 4 with a screen share. Steps 5 through 9, your students would be going through this tool on their own to create their own pixel art. They're learning how to export it. And then I get to step 11 of this project. And step 11, I want to use as an example, again, this project as to how Mouse Create works as a whole for any project. Now with any project, you will see one of the steps has this little notification here. This step has required tasks. And when you see that on the step navigation menu, you'll notice that that step has this green box that says requirements. And so what happens here is it's ready for your students to submit work on Mouse Create. So they can add text. I'm just going to put some dummy text in here. They save some text as a response. It actually asks them if they work with any other students in the class, but I'm just working alone, and my group currently only has one person in it. So there's the text I want to submit for this project. And for this particular project, we're also going to need to add an image. So again, we're at the last step of the 8-bit pixel artist project. This step has required tasks, and I've added some text, and now what I want to do is add an image. So I'm going to choose a file from my computer in my downloads folder. Let's just use this image that I've been working on before. This image is not particularly used for this project, but I can see now, here's my text response. Here's the image that I created, and now I'm ready to review my work. And here again, I just get to see the text that I submitted for this project and the image I submitted for this project. I have a last chance to edit it. And now I'm finally ready to submit my work to my teacher. So this is a student going through it. They can either publish for other people on Mouse Create to see it. I usually just keep it as yes, but there's no harm in putting it to no. And they confirm that they have submitted their work. They get a notification, your student gets a notification that the work has been submitted. And let's see what that looks like on your end as the teacher of this group. So if I go back to my group, now your student will have just submitted some work for 8-bit pixel artist. What happens when you log into your account is you'll get a little notification, a little red circle, similar to like a Facebook notification, that you will see if your student submits some work. But now that your student has submitted the work, you can always click on the notification when you get it, or you can see what your students did by going to the Group Work tab. So I'm in the playlist, but if I go to Group Work, here we see actually the work I just submitted. So submitted by Demo, that's my the teacher account that I'm in right now. But you'd see actually all the work from all your students in this group will show up here. And it's telling me that I need to review it. So if I click on that, what I see is here's that text and that image I submitted before just earlier in this video. So your student will have done the work. They will have submitted it. It will show up here in your group work tab. You can go to needs review and I can see it. I can mark it as reviewed for the student to let them know that the teacher did look at it. I can also start a discussion, say something along the lines of this looks great or anything like that. I can submit that. The student will actually see that response from their teacher. And this is how work in this program throughout the Canva Community Gardens program. While you're using Mouse Create, this is how your students will submit work, and this is how you as the facilitator of that group will review their work. So now that you understand how this whole process works, you are ready to dive into the first project, which is the 8-bit pixel artist project with your students. And you remember to constantly be referencing the different resources that you have, which are this professional development, the program schedule, and the facilitator guide.